What's going on, Consciouztv? Your favorite breakdown commentator. Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. You already know what we're here to get into. Before we do so, please go ahead and thumbs up the video until it's absolutely stuck. We definitely need all other thumbs up because I think my notifications are shot because we've been working back to back. And y'all know that YouTube only gives, content creators a certain amount of notifications within every 24-hour period. So, when you have to work, okay, because the streets are streeting, then, it is, we got to do what we got to do, okay? So, if y'all want me to continue to work, girl, and not see y'all every 3 days so I can let my notifications recalibrate, then I need you guys to thumbs up the video. That's why you guys thumbs up. You guys thumbing up is a alternative and still pushes the content into the algorithm and still pushes the system to send out notifications to Conscious crew members when you guys are thumbing up. Okay, the engagement pushes the content. Okay, even if the system says you're doing too much, you done been live, you done did 2 posts on the community wall, girl, that's it. We ain't sending no more notifications out, okay? And then y'all come through and pow that like feature, okay? And then we back on again, all right? So if you like saying the Kang all the time, if you like your Kanging daily, Kanging all we be all night, okay? You got to support the like feature, or else I got to see y'all every 3 days. Because that's the only way it's going to make sense, okay? And if it don't make sense, it don't make dollars. Speaking of dollars, you can also donate to the platform and support the Kane for all that I do at $Consciouztv on Cash App or I got hiccups, y'all. PayPal.me/Consciouztv, and that's Conscious with the Z on the end, spelled just how it is here on the channel. All donation information and social media handles are also in the description box below. Make sure that you guys have your notification bell set to all. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be a YouTube community wall, your Snapchat, your MySpace, your Dark Side, Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a that. Where you lay the link, just let them know that we're out live and in color. With no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, you guys? Hi, Conscious crew. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Only 2 days before that beautiful weekend, honey, and all my corporate girls and boys, baby. Okay, baby, I know y'all can't wait to see that Friday on period. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. It's a lot going on the 7th day of the new year. My true love said to me that it is a mess. Oh, yes, it's a mess, baby. 7 days into the new year, baby, and ICE is out here shooting people in the head. 7 days into the new year, girl, Donnie McClurkin is going to be giving up all of them royalties to Mr. Giuseppe Corletto, child, because the receipts seem to allegedly be receipting right now. And of course, Jamal Bryant and his favorite dress girl had to go make the most of all this viral controversy regarding his wife's fundraiser gala dress. So they had to go and, of course, sit down in front of the beautiful Tamron Hall, baby. And you know what? I don't think it made it any damn better, okay? So the criticism will ensue. How y'all doing today, though? What's going on? Okay, yes, see, you got to follow me on all these other alternative platforms like Patreon, like Instagram, because as a conscious crew member said, that's how they knew I was live, because they follow me on the Insta. So you guys got to follow me all across the board. We're going to be heading over to TikTok. We're going to be heading over to Facebook this year. Okay, all of that stuff will be popping off this week. So be prepared for all of that, honey. Okay, we gotta take the kingdom by storm and by violence. Okay, we gotta seize it all. So we're gonna be seizing it, child. So let's get into the commentary, because we're not gonna be here long. I have a lot going on today. I'm also gonna be bringing on a special guest, you guys, today. So be prepared for that. That's going to be a cackle. I'm also going to talk to you guys about my business meeting with this producer that I told you guys to pray for me regarding. Keep your fingers crossed regarding. Put me on the altar, honey. Get up in the old nasty piece of prayer closet. Put on that prayer shawl, baby, and you speak in all the tongues and Spanglish and Ebonics. You know, baby, okay, to raise the vibration and the blessings for the king, because this sit down could change everything. So we're going to get into the nooks and crevices of that in another live. And I want to thank you guys so much for your prayers, for your well wishes. I love you long time. So let's first and foremost, girl, get into what's going on, Dr. Reed. Look at Dr. Reed actually moderating for once. How about that? How about that? Okay, 124 people in the building. More people should hit the like. Y'all hit the like. Y'all know YouTube ain't sending out the notifications. I done been putting out too much content, honey. I've been dog piling. So they done with me, okay? So you please, please, please support the kingdom. It don't cost you nothing. Thumbs up and share. And of course, if you're not also subscribed to Dr. Reed, whose sector I am infiltrating, okay? The church sector, where the church news goes down. Make sure you guys are also subscribed to Dr. Reed. He's also been covering the Donnie McClurkin controversy. He's been covering the Jamal Bryant and dress controversy, okay? So, you know, get the commentary, girl, from two of the best content creators and commentators in the business, certainly in the sector. All right. Now, let's get into Donnie McClurkin, child, because you guys know last night we went live and we talked about Donnie McClurkin, had a very nuanced conversation about, you know, some of the things that can contribute to developing predatory behavior. Sometimes it's birthed out of undealt with trauma, undealt with shadow work. Sometimes on a psychological level, being the predator in a sexual abuse scenario is a way of someone who once was a victim now reclaiming the role of the one empowered so that they're never victimized again. It is a very dense and kind of warped way of protecting oneself and preserving oneself, which is by assuming the role of the bully. But that sometimes happens because most perpetrators are victims themselves. They have been victimized themselves. Also, as I told you guys yesterday, I don't think that we as a culture and as a society have also studied the effects of fame, the effects of wealth on human nature, because we're seeing too many of our legends fall victim to their lower nature, falling victim to ill desire, or fall victim to, you know, very unbecoming things, from Britney Spears to Mariah Carey's psychosis, to Whitney Houston's drug addiction, to Amy Winehouse, to Michael Jackson. You know, now we're seeing suits against Tyler Perry. We are seeing suits against Donnie McClurkin. We just traveled through the whole Cassie and P. Diddy ordeal. And, you know, what people are doing at the tippity top of the pyramid is not well, and doesn't have something to do with how thin the air, metaphorically speaking, is at the top. Because, see, most people don't exist at the top. Most people are everyday people who live at the base of the mountain, and those dynamics are very contrastingly different from the dynamics up the top, when you have extreme pressure on you, when you have to really consider your personal image, which is also not natural, because every human being should be nothing less than their authentic self. But when you're in a situation, when it comes to capitalism, when it comes to a career, when it comes to a career birthed out of a religious affiliation, very bad things can happen to human consciousness. Deeply conservative and religious ideology also can shrink the authentic self, and in place, or the side effect of shrinking, of deviating from the authentic self, can result in gross side effects, in gross mutations within the soul, within the human psyche. This can result in predatory behavior. It can result in hypersexuality as an outlet. It can result in drugs to numb. It can result in narcotics to feel again. I mean, this is a very complex thing. And this is why, for those who are actually guilty of these types of crimes, I would like to see a full-on anatomical assessment, because the only way for us to prevent future predators from being born and from becoming is if we understand the variables that create it to begin with. If we don't understand what gives birth to this, what arouses this, what contributes to this, then we will just be, unfortunately, locking people up and suing them when it's a little bit too late. When we need to be preventive, because the aftermath has already come and already gone. So I want to understand these people's psychological makeup. I want to understand their lived experiences. I want to understand the way that these social constructs all contribute. Okay, I want to understand the power of money. Look, I told y'all last night that, look, the reason why Christ didn't care about being poor is because Christ even knew 2,500 plus years ago, baby, that we ain't situated enough as a people to be able to handle a certain level of access without losing our minds. Okay? That's why he was always encouraging folk, give it away, die unto self, give your wealth, stay non-centering yourself. Because something else happens, something very exotic happens to the mind, something very exotic happens to the self when we begin to center the lowercase I. Okay? As we're looking at all of our stars fall from the night sky, girl, and descend and plummet to the earth like a shooting star, we're now really being able to understand the gravity, the spiritual gravity and weight on the teachings of Christ and Buddhism, which are about profound humility, profound charity, profound dissolving of identity, total dismantling of the shallow self, a profound healing of the trauma body, of the pain body. Because when we don't heal that stuff up, and when we don't have practices in our life that ground us deeply, that incubate us deeply in, and then we go and accumulate stuff, whether that's accumulating beauty, whether that's accumulating attractiveness, whether that's accumulating money, whether that's accumulating an escalation in our career, baby, we fall down and don't get up. Baby, we don't get back up, baby. Baby, I have fallen, Lord, and I cannot get up. Okay? So I believe that there's very few people in the world that can handle power, handle money, handle authority, and be well and be righteous. But the average person is going to lose a bit of themselves. Okay? And it's probably ideally in the best interest of our spiritual integrity and our spiritual well-being to live a modest life in general. Okay? So that we don't get caught up in the fray. We don't get caught up in the vacuum. We don't get caught up in the tethering of the ego, which always want to identify. Okay? This is where our identities are rooted in, is the ego. And is the ego all bad? No. It has this place. It has its time. It has its necessity. Such as one of the redeeming qualities of the ego is that it's responsible for our ability to develop habits and to be repetitive. And this can be a positive thing if you have good things in your life's algorithm, if you have good things in your soul's algorithm. Okay? Imagine having love rhythmic in your being, kindness rhythmic in your being, integrity rhythmic in your being. So the ego has its superpowers and has its necessities, but we oftentimes, out of ignorance and not living in a very spiritually rich culture, misappropriate our egos and then ultimately create systems that are birthed out of those egos and then end up sustaining those egos. And then we be very far from the spiritual mark that we are hooting and hollering about and that we are proclaiming and parading. Now, I don't know who the hell I just preached to, and I really don't know who needed all of that, and I don't even know how the hell we got here, really. Because see, this is what church, see, this is what reporting on churchy stuff is going to do to me. It's going to bring out the conscious in the TV. We're just going to be slipping and sliding into all type of things, okay? I don't even know why we got here, honey. I started off with a premise, and now I done got off into some other stuff. So now we going to just reverse uno, baby. Oh, back to Miss Donnie. That's how we got here, girl, because we was talking about the predatorialness, and I was talking about all of the variables that could contribute to all of this, and I want to understand this so that we can prevent these things from happening to other people, okay? So Donnie McClurkin was sued down to the ground by his ex-mentee and prior personal assistant, okay? Now, shout out to my street committee member, Document Teams, who sent me the official lawsuit. I really don't want to read the lawsuit. Do y'all really need that? Do y'all need the full reading? Hold on, let me put it up. Because Document Teams sent me the whole thing. Let me see how long it is, girl. Let me pull up my ego. Hold on. Y'all run the likes up, child. We need to do all of that. Run the likes up, run the likes up, run the likes up. Happy hump day. Let me pull up the lawsuit. Do y'all need that? Because I feel like the NBC article and interview that we referenced yesterday pretty much did a great job at condensing the situation, but y'all real knows it. So y'all might, need the nooks and all the crevices of this thing. Do y'all really need that out? Hold on, let me pull this thing up and see how much of a suit it is. How many pages this is? It don't seem that long. It really ain't long. Let's see here. Girl, the article. Hold on, I needed to talk. Oh, wait a minute, honey. This thing got some details in it. Beg plaintiff to have sex with him. Oh, we're reading the suit, baby. Hold on. Reread the suit, child. See, all this wasn't in the article, baby. All right, honey. Suit it is. Wow. Okay, let's get into the suit by Mr. Corletto. All right, nature of this action, the parties. Let's get to the meat and potato. Facts, common cause of action. All right, let's do this. All right, here we go now. All right. Can y'all see this? Yeah, y'all can see it. Okay, let's get to the meat and potatoes of here. Y'all thumbs up the video, child. Facts common to all causes of action. Okay. On or about August the 3rd of 2003, when plaintiff Carletto was 21 years old, he first met defendant McClurkin at defendant's church in Long Island, New York, after reading defendant's book entitled Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor, which centered on being delivered from that homosexuality. Oh my goodness. We're going to get into that too. Somebody sent me some tea, girl, on Donnie McClurkin's ex-ministry situation, child. Someone has came out and spoken out. So shout out to my moderator, Rumors and Tea Girl, for sending me that. At that time, Defendant's Church, Perfecting Faith Church, was holding outdoor service referred to as Church Without Walls, no pun intended, where individuals would share testimonies regarding their own deliverance from the homo, prostitution, drugs, and other circumstances. Because plaintiff was struggling with acceptance of his sexuality in light of his religious beliefs, he sought out defendant McClurkin for guidance. That after the service on or about August 3rd of 2003, plaintiff was brought to meet defendant McClurkin, who prayed with him and assured him that defendant would help deliver him from the homo. Shortly thereafter, one of the defendant's ministers who confessed to plaintiff that he too was struggling with his homo, began persistently contacting plaintiff, showing up to plaintiff's home unannounced, and even making, y'all, baby, all this wasn't in the article, baby. Why y'all didn't tell me that all this was in the article? Now this man saying that one of McClurkin's peers also was making advances and harassing him. Oh my goodness. Jesus. Due to this harassment, plaintiff, who had only attended defendant's church for about 3 weeks at this point, began missing church services and considered leaving altogether. Shortly thereafter, plaintiff received a call directly from defendant McClurkin, where defendant reassured that this harassing minister was being dealt with and that this was a test from God, to which plaintiff passed. Wow. Plaintiff and defendant McClurkin then developed a mentor-mentee relationship. Jesus. Eventually, defendant offered plaintiff the position of executive personal assistant, which plaintiff accepted. During plaintiff's time as defendant McClurkin's personal assistant, they engaged in Pray the G-A-Y Away spiritual sessions, during which defendant McClurkin groped plaintiff's genitals, all without his consent. Plaintiff struggled to process these incidents of sexual. You know what's so funny about real touchy-feely? That I'm not a very touchy-feely person. It's interesting to me when I hear about individuals who are very like entitled to people's bodies. I'm not a touchy-feely person. I could not even imagine just like touching someone without consent. Just I don't even understand how narcissistic and egotistical you have to be to just entitle yourself to someone's body and then the private, intimate regions of their body at that. Like, you have to be psychotic to do that. Okay. Plaintiff struggled to process these incidents of sexual abuse, as defendant was both his mentor and employer, making it difficult for him to speak out about the abuse he had suffered. During this time, defendant McClurkin would set up scenarios with plaintiff and other men, much like with the aforementioned minister, framing them as tests from God to see how the plaintiff would react. So this man is claiming that McClurkin would simulate these sessions that were actually, in fact, inappropriate and involved them being sexually touched and assaulted under the guise that these were tests. Wow. One such test came when plaintiff and defendant were staying at the Atlantis Resort in Nassau, Bahamas, where defendant invited a male model to plaintiff's hotel room in an attempt to coerce plaintiff in sexual activity. When plaintiff reported to defendant that he was able to resist the male model's sexual advances, defendant praised him and laid his hands on plaintiff and told him that he had passed another test. NBC need to be ashamed of themselves. Calling themselves providing a write-up. A write-up where? Where was all this? Where was all this in the summary that NBC came up with, baby? Baby, this lawsuit makes NBC's write-up look like child's play. Baby, I'm never reading another written article referencing an actual lawsuit again in my life. Dr. Reed says definitely have to be in some type of mental crisis. Let me tell you something, baby. You know, people be attractive and everything, but you know what? I'm attractive too. And before I touch you, I'll touch me instead. Like, I ain't never been so attracted to nobody that I just have to touch you and grab you and rub all on you and grab all up. Like, who does that? Who does that? I'm cringing just trying to self-imagine myself doing that to someone. I mean, I don't even when I'm in relationships, I don't even initiate sexual contact. I have to be pursued, baby. Okay? I'm the prey baby, I'm the dainty prey in the situation. Okay, now, once you rough me up, okay, you can bring out the top energy if you want to, you know, I'm with all of that. But it's just interesting to me because I know men have been socialized to objectify people in this way and to think that people's bodies, they're entitled to, etc. And even being raised in that culture as a young man myself, I just never operated that way. Now, I have been the victim of this. I have been in public spaces. I've been at public events. I have been in clubs and had people grab handfuls of my cakes, baby. Handfuls of my cakes, baby. Okay? Now I got to come through public events smashing my stuff in, baby. Okay? Just so that I don't get sexually assaulted on the way to the stage. All right? But this is a mess. 2007, plaintiff traveled with defendant McClurkin and his family to California for a business trip. Defendant also brought his, at the time, girlfriend. So this time, this man brought some protection, baby. This man was trying to send a clear signal, girl, that he's trying to lean over to the left where them heterosexuals sit at, baby. He don't need none of that. He good, okay? Test complete, baby. Done aced them, girl. I got a girl now. Leave me alone. Therein, in defendant McClurkin's hotel room, defendant instructed plaintiff to remove defendant's shoes. Defendant McClurkin then removed his pants, exposed himself to plaintiff, grabbed him, put him onto the bed, and forcefully kissed and groped the plaintiff's body. Plaintiff cried and pled for defendant McClurkin to stop, but defendant McClurkin continued touching him in an attempt to arouse him. Defendant McClurkin then forcefully grabbed plaintiff's penis and performed oral SCX on him, all without the plaintiff's consent. Plaintiff begged defendant McClurkin to stop while crying, but defendant continued assaulting him. Defendant McClurkin then forcefully grabbed plaintiff's penis and inserted it into defendant's anus, therefore forcing plaintiff to engage in anal sodomy with defendant until defendant ejaculated. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something, baby. It is hard to imagine. Frail body, whistle blowing, tiptoeing, secretly cross-dressing, ballroom scene voguing, high-pitched voice mistake for being a lady on the phone with the bill collector, Donnie McClurkin, in such a hyper aggressive, dominant state of being. Hard to imagine, right? But guess what? I don't know no damn Donnie McClurkin. So for all I know, baby, when this damn disorder, when this thing starts to personify itself through him, girl, he could turn into the Incredible Hulk for all I know. Okay? Because size and width and height and slim and thickness, baby, ain't got nothing to do with taking what you believe is yours, baby. Thieves come in all shapes and sizes. Now, I ain't saying he did it, but Jesus, you know, it's to imagine Donnie in a hostile scenario like this with another man at that's an interesting thing to conceptualize. That's an interesting thing to conceptualize, Shad. All right. When plaintiff confronted defendant McClurkin afterwards, defendant pretended to have no recollection of the assault and blamed his behavior on side effects of his medication. Girl, it's giving Donnie Dahmer. It's giving Donnie Dahmer, y'all. It's giving Jeffrey McClurkin, girl. It's giving Donnie Dahmer. You have no alleged recollection? Defendant McClurkin further manipulated plaintiff, blaming him for the incident and convincing him that he was the sole culpable party. Oh, the psychological reverse Uno and gaslighting of it all to make the victim feel like the victimizer and plant the psychological seed that somehow you deserve this. This is what men who great women do to women. They base it upon the way you dressed and what you looked like and how you were dancing on him and how provocative you were, you know, acting on him, etc., all to avoid accountability. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Hey, Auntie Trish. Defendant McClurkin further manipulated plaintiff, blaming him for the incident and convincing him that he was the sole culpable party as a result of plaintiff experienced intense shame and confusion. Defendant McClurkin exploited this tactic, repeatedly coercing plaintiff into further unwanted sexual acts over the next 6 years. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm also curious to know, was Carletto, because hey, this is an allegation. So, you know, we got to swing, you know, the pendulum got to swing from left to right. Okay, this thing is going to play out in the court of law. Donnie McClurkin ultimately is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So, with a balanced conversation and commentary, I'm wondering did Mr. Carletto, did he get treatment? Because you just talked about a brutal anal sodomy where you cried, you screamed, where you were completely dominated by Donnie Dahmer. There had to have been some injuries. You know, women's vaginas are actually made for intercourse. And if a woman's for JJ can experience a profound injury as a result of forcible penetration, then just imagine what happens to the soft tissue of an anal cavity upon forced penetration. Not per se hearing anything about any medical intervention, seeing a doctor, the need for any medical intervention. I couldn't imagine. Let me tell you something. As a versatile, and for those of you who don't know what a versatile is in the queer community, it is a powerful man like myself who's able to yield powerful meat and powerful bread basket, as Dr. Larry Reed would say. Okay. Versatiles are the Trojan horses of the queer communities. Okay. We yield powerful meat and powerful powerful bread basket. And even when a bottom wants penetration, that can still be very much so a painful experience, especially if you're inexperienced. And especially if the top is initially being aggressive and fast-paced, and then not to mention size of the equipment. So even when a bottom wants it, it can still result in pain and injury. So just imagine forcible penetration in your breadbasket. I can't imagine that he can just get up and go home. All right, but we don't hear anything about a medical intervention. Okay. Defendant McClurkin also engaged in numerous other incidents of groping and forcible touching while plaintiff was working for him at his church. Defendant would secretly grope plaintiff before going to preach, inducing plaintiff to cry, and then using plaintiff's tears to encourage other congregants to openly express. Wow. So he's saying that McClurkin would know that his tears were a result of just being sexually harassed, and then having to get up and speak, and then would use the plaintiff's emoting as a cosplay for the Spirit of God being in the room to encourage the church to go up and speak. Oh, girl, that is some Luciferian stuff, baby. That is some Luciferian satanic cult-like stuff. Wow. And then in the house of the Lord, where the only thing that we should be going down on is our knees and honor and praise for the Most High. But instead, this is a space for sexual abuse. And then you're going to use the whimpering and the energy of someone who you just victimized as a way to arouse the Spirit of God in the same. Y'all, that's diabolical. Y'all, that's diabolical. That's diabolical, y'all. Wow. Dr. Reed, have you read the lawsuit? Dr. Reed says, versatiles are double-minded. He said, be hot or cold, aka top or bottom. You know, God says that he also is all things to all people. And then Jesus said that ye are gods. So then technically by Jesus's attitude, since I am an expression of God, I too can be all things to all tops, and I can be all things to all bottoms. Okay, see, we can wrestle that thing out theologically, doctor. Okay, see, we can see if you need that sorceress battle. Okay, see the scriptures, baby. They're gonna strip y'all. Okay. The scriptures do say and talk about double-mindedness. But then it also says, ye are gods. Ye are all the sons and daughters of God. So yes, ye are. And that God is all things to all people, baby. So I, as a little God, as a lowercase God, all things to tops, and I am all things to bottoms, and I am all things to the versatiles in betweens. Oh, yes. I read the alleged email where Donnie apologized, and that's what we're getting to. Hey, Deshaun, what's going on, baby father? Y'all don't pay me no mind, baby. It's a good Wednesday, okay? It's a good Wednesday, child. All right, so let's continue on, because this is crazy. Crazy. Hold on. Where we left off at? Where did we leave off at? Okay, defendant, multiple groping, inducing. During this period in or about 07, defendant McClurkin took plaintiff on another business trip to Atlantic City. Baby, shout out to Atlantic City. But I went to Atlantic City in 2023. Baby, one of the most memorable times I ever had, baby, okay? Stayed in a 5-star hotel, baby. That's when I took the edibles for the first time, baby. Was out there on that beach, honey. Came into contact, honey, with one of them deities that was hovering and vibrating over them waters, baby. The next day, baby, Spirit had took me to the upper room, baby. Okay, legendary time in Atlantic City. So shout out to Jersey for a speaking engagement. Thereat, defendant claimed that the hotel had mistakenly booked only one room, right, and eventually persuaded plaintiff to stay in the same room as him. Therein, while plaintiff slept on the couch, he awoke to defendant McClurkin performing oral sex on him, all without plaintiff's consent. On another occasion in or about, and you know what's so funny? This is how the old queens used to get down. I had a homeboy, one of my childhood friends. He used to do this to straight men when we were in high school. If he would get up in his lustivities for a man, he'd get close to that man, and they would, have tea and crumpets at the house. And if that man fell asleep, fell into a deep trance, baby, that man will wake up to my friend slobbing and knobbing on his corn on the cobbin. Oh, yes, he would, baby. Okay, see, baby, this is giving old stunt queen. This is 07 stunt queen vibes, okay? This would have been around the time, baby. Yes, honey, when the girls was slobbing and knobbing and setting trade up for the takedown, baby. Oh, yes, I had a friend who used to do stuff just like this back in the day. Yeah. On another occasion, 07, defendant forced himself on plaintiff in a hotel room located in Long Island, New York, under circumstances similar to those in the previous California incident. On another occasion, in or about 08, defendant McClurkin forced himself on plaintiff at defendant's home in Rockville Centre, New York, and masturbated in front of plaintiff and forced plaintiff to watch. Donnie McClurkin was getting down like this, y'all. Larry, Sin, Trish, y'all believe this? Our sweet, tender voice, Donnie McClurkin, was just dog walking and hypersexual and aggressive like this. Y'all believe it? We do got an email. I forgot. Look, I'm the one that told y'all that I believe it because of the email. If the email is legit, and like I told y'all yesterday, I don't think that this man would present a false email when at least he should know, or his attorney should know, that obviously if it's not real, Donnie McClurkin is just going to put a forensics analyst on it in order to legitimize its metadata. So with that being the case, I don't think Corletto would present false evidence appearing real. But then again, people do present false evidence in criminal trials, in civil trials. So, but, and baby, all attorneys are not made equal. Some attorneys are real big dumb. Okay? They're real big dumb. They'll let you walk yourself off the cliff. Or they may be too old, baby, to know, all the which ways in which things can be dealt with and handled, baby. Okay, this is why you pay for good lawyering, okay? Because all attorneys are not made equal, girl. So, I mean, hey, I don't know. Would Corletto? We don't know Corletto from a can of paint on the wall. Is this a money grab? Is he doing the most to get a settlement? Would he mess up his case like this by presenting false evidence? Or maybe he don't think there's any way to get down to the bottom of this. But there is, because digital footprints are left behind on everything. And obviously, if he presented false evidence in his case, pretty much debunking this email, if it is false, is going to really just tear the whole thing apart. Because if you're going to lie about this, then it can be argued, baby, you lying about it all. Okay, but do I think Carletto would jack up his case like that? No. Do I think he's an idiot like that? No. So at face value, I'm going for right now, just take the email at face value and assume that it's authentic. Okay, we are waiting on Donnie's response to this. So we're going to also see what he says about that email, because now that that email has been dropped dead in this lawsuit as evidence exhibit A, you know, he's going to have to directly speak to this, and seeing how he narrates and how he makes it make sense is going to be very, 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 very interesting, you guys. Dr. Reed says the email apology and apology Donnie gave me for being, hello? What you had said, Reed? The email apology and the apology Donnie gave me. What you mean gave you? You're saying the apology Donnie McClurkin gave to you for being inappropriate with you? What do you mean inappropriate? Inappropriate how? And if you a victim, when you filing your suit, what you waiting on to go and collect your gospel coin? What you waiting on to go tear up what's remaining of Donnie's royalties? No, you didn't. You never told me that. You done told me a lot of things, but you never told me that Donnie asked to meet in Virginia. To do what? It could have been a meeting about songwriting, music, collaborating. What do you mean a meeting? No, you ain't told me this story. I don't know nothing about this story. I never heard the story. You might have told this to the LRLers. Yeah, I missed that. I didn't know that. What? But wait. Okay, see, but that's nuance. Isn't that that's a nuanced situation, right? Cause you grown, he grown, you ain't his mentee, you ain't his personal assistant, you just he can get that from. That, I mean, is it wrong for him to come on to someone that he doesn't have a power dynamic with? And you went, wisdom had me bring Nathan. So what happened? I don't understand. So you brought them, and then what? Girl, I am. I got so many questions. I got 99 questions and then another one. Wait. So what made you feel the meeting was inappropriate if you brought someone with you? Did he say what he said? He tried to pick up them both and then invited us to his room. So was it just like a lot of innuendoing and a lot of like, oh, okay, like we know what's up? Or did he emphatically state he wanted to be gangbang? Look and look. I'm not. See, but I'm not sure if I would. I don't know, cause you just another to Donnie. I'm not sure if that is. I wouldn't cite that as a good or bad. I mean, the man just shot his shot, child. I mean, exact words. How long y'all been having these with men and who's who? Okay, I mean, y'all want Dr. Reed to come and give the story time. If you want to come up, Dr. Reed, you are welcome to talk about this experience. I'm just hearing this for the first time. I didn't know. How long y'all been having X with me? Oh, wow. So, in the words of Kai, baby, he just knew that y'all was some punks. Wow. Wow, baby. Donnie said, it's some punks in this house. If you see them, pawn them out. So he just went straight for the gusto. That is some horny stuff. Don't even try to be cute with it. Why nobody want to be cute with it no more? Baby, I can want it, but I'm gonna be cute with it. Baby, just laying that big wolf pussy down on the hotel staircase. Come get it. Wow, Donnie. You just got the bus hanging all outside the drawers like that? Wow. Them Christians be horny. Them Christians be horny. Oh, yes, they do. They be horny, baby. Let me tell you, baby, all that structure, all them laws, all that discipline, all that tight woundness, baby. Okay, people be needing the outlet, baby, and sex gonna always be the easy, practical go-to, baby, to just release all that structure, to release all that tension of having to sign paperwork all day and sing all day and smile all day and pretend to be friendly all day, baby. It's going to result in you needing to be towed out of the frame by somebody on Grindr or Jack when it's all said and done. Wow. He said that to Antoine and Nathan, and I spoke up and said, we ain't here for that. But he kept going, wouldn't take no for an answer. Hence, we left, and hence, oh, Mr. Carletto need to call you in as a witness. He need to call you in, Reed, as a witness. He gonna need you to write up an affidavit in support of his experience, because that between the email and then everything Carletto is saying, and then you talking about how this man was thirsty and desperate and not taking no for an answer, and with all the stuff. Oh, baby, he gonna need an affidavit. He gonna need an affidavit up off you. Wow. Hold on, how long? Wait a minute. But Donnie McClurkin been claiming that he been delivered since Jesus went to the right hand of the Father. So Donnie McClurkin also been out here openly lying and cosplaying as a redeemed homosexual man. Wow. I told Patreon this entire story in 2019 and is this when it happened? This happened in 2015. Wow. Todd says, I mean, we did see the Dalai Lama slip on national TV once. I mean, nothing is out of the realm. You know what? Donnie is cooked, baby. Donnie is cooked. Donnie is cooked. Donnie is cooked. If this was how Donnie was acting toward me and he didn't even really know like that, then just imagine how much more comfortable and aggressive he would be with somebody he's completely comfortable with, like his ex-personal assistant / mentee. Donnie, your case just got a bit more complicated, babes. Baby, I hate that for you. Baby. Wow. All right. That was an interesting segue. Back into this lawsuit. Jesus Christ. On another occasion, in or about 08, defendant McClurkin drove plaintiff to a park in Rockville Centre, New York, under the pretense of going grocery shopping. Therein, defendant then forced plaintiff to perform oral sex on him until he concluded in the Big Bang. On another occasion, in or about 08, at a hotel in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, New York, defendant McClurkin forced himself on plaintiff, forcefully kissing plaintiff and groping his genitals. Plaintiff tried to leave, but the door was locked. Therein, defendant McClurkin performed oral sex on plaintiff and then forced plaintiff's penis into defendant's anus while pinning plaintiff against the wall. So this was another anal sodomy event that took place. This all happens over a several-year period. Throughout this period, plaintiff attempted to quit on multiple occasions. Defendant, however, denied plaintiff's request, further coercing him to stay by telling plaintiff that his deliverance and purpose were tied to defendant. Defendant McClurkin compared plaintiff to a biblical figures like Elijah. And is this Elijah too? Elisha? I don't know. To further manipulate him and convince him that he needed defendant. That's the psychological toiling. Wow. Plaintiff also confided in church staff members about defendant McClurkin. Now here's where the church get into covering up the bush. Misconduct and abuse, including Renee Mentor Carr, Savetta Green, and Terrell Middleton regarding defendant misconduct, but no action, of course, was taken. In 08, plaintiff ultimately secured employment with a Christian broadcasting network in New York and successfully resigned from his position in defendant McClurkin. However, because defendant McClurkin was a gospel artist, plaintiff continued to encounter him throughout his new employment. In April of 2012, just 3 years before he would invite Larry and his boys to, the Sweet Temptations upstairs orgy, plaintiff began working for an airline. During training in Orlando, Florida, defendant discovered plaintiff's hotel location through one of plaintiff's friends and appeared uninvited at plaintiff's hotel room. Thereat, defendant McClurkin begged plaintiff to allow him, stating that they needed to talk. Plaintiff, not wanting to make a scene given defendant celebrity status and public recognition, reluctantly agreed to let defendant inside his room. Therein, defendant McClurkin begged plaintiff to have sex with him one last time, but plaintiff refused. Later, while plaintiff slept, he awoke to defendant McClurkin masturbating himself while also touching and groping plaintiff's body. I don't understand what he means by while asleep. Why did Corletto fall asleep with a man that has been graping him for years? How did you come to fall asleep after all of this? And at this point, he done quit. Therein, plaintiff resisted defendant McClurkin's advances, but defendant forced himself on top of plaintiff and began performing oral sex on him, ignoring plaintiff's repeated verbal refusals. Therein, plaintiff cried as defendant McClurkin proceeded to grape him again. In the following months, defendant McClurkin persistently pressured plaintiff to live with him in California. After this, around Thanksgiving or Christmas of 2013, while plaintiff was living in Boston, Massachusetts, defendant McClurkin showed up outside the gate at the airport with two of plaintiff's friends and refused to leave until plaintiff agreed to go out with them. Wow. I mean, this man was pulling out all of the stops. And we still haven't heard about Corletto going to get any medical treatment. I'm not understanding. He's not speaking about going to get tested. And because this has to be a balanced dialogue, because this right now is just an allegation, even though there seems to be a receipt, but we also have to remember that just because Donnie allegedly admitted to being inappropriate also doesn't mean that every single thing that Corletto is saying is true. You know, he is legally innocent until absolutely proven guilty. But multiple grapes, you don't go and get tested. You don't go and get a grape kit done. You don't report them to the authorities, even after you've quit and everything. I don't understand why he would protect him. Especially after he quit, because now it's like, I ain't got nothing to lose. You know, I done disconnected from you. I'm not a part of your ministry. I'm not your assistant anymore. You know, you're cooked. You come at me again, baby. I'm gonna tell you up, baby. I'm gonna send you home. I'm gonna send you home to your mammy in a box. Specifically, an Amazon Prime box. Honey, you'll be at her front door overnight. You know, I'm calling the po-po girl. This will never happen again. Or was he still under all of the psychological disillusionment that Donnie had subjected him to over the course of those several years? Because, you know, victims often talk about how the psychological is the part that is difficult to repair and that oftentimes linger. The physical abuse, you know, that's the easier stuff compared to the psychological and emotional damage that various forms of abuse leave behind and result in. Wow. In or about June 2013, defendant McClurkin persuaded plaintiff to rejoin his church in New York. On June 26, 2013, defendant McClurkin then convinced plaintiff to accompany him on a trip to Niagara Falls, New York, where defendant forced himself on plaintiff and actually assaulted him in defendant's hotel room, ignoring plaintiff's pleas for him to stop. This time, plaintiff was able to push defendant off, having grown more confident, here we go, in his sexual identity and no longer subscribing to defendant's doctrine of deliverance. After this incident in Niagara Falls, New York, on June 28th of 2013, defendant McClurkin sent plaintiff an email apologizing for actually assaulting him that evening. Here is the Smokey G-U-N, you guys. This is the Smokey G-U-N, you guys. Hey, Tennessee. Hey, y'all. Y'all, please thumbs up the video. Yeah, he was 21 when all this began. So this is the infamous email, girl. This is the Smoking G-U-N. You see here, it's from Donald McClurkin, Giuseppe Corletto, June 28th, 2013, 11:36 a.m., right before noon. My apology, it's titled. The first thing I want to do is apologize again to you. I know I apologize for my wrong attitude from Wednesday, but I want to apologize for all of my behavior that has been wrong and put you in a wrong place. I am the actual epitome of a desperate, dirty old man, pawning and groping a young man who is just looking for a friendship and close platonic relationship, and didn't even spell platonic right, with someone he wants looks to for help, guidance, and spirituality. I was trying to go to a realm of sexuality that wasn't right and wasn't right for you. Or me, for that matter. I feel so foul, so stupid. I'm old enough to be your father and want to be something else to you. You don't have that desire for me, and I shouldn't have it for you. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and then when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I am really... So this line is very interesting because who is he talking about? Is he talking about himself here? Or is he speaking about Corletto? Is he referencing that he took it too far when all Corletto wanted to do was sleep and hug, was basically a cuddle and be affectionate? Or is he talking about himself? Because he can't be talking about himself when he's admitting to being the aggressor who's escalating all of that, that it wouldn't be true then that all he wanted was to sleep together and hug occasionally. Because that would still be inappropriate anyway. Well, you know what? I don't know. Let me see here. Girl, let me tell you something, girl. I'm very unconventional. Like, I have close friends in my life. Oh, see, in this case, this is an employee and all of that. But I have friends in my life where we have gone there, okay? And we will go there occasionally if necessary, okay? Because as the scriptures say, a friend sticks closer to you than a brother, okay? So, you know, I'm not one of them people who don't believe that friendship can't lead to marriage and all of that. So many marriages and all of that are birthed out of friendships, people who started off as besties, people who started off as workplace, you know, what you call them? What you call the people that you work alongside? Whatever the hell the word is, okay? So, but you know, if Donnie wanted that, he should have dissolved everything else beforehand. Co-workers, thank you, child. I don't know why co-workers left me. He should have dissolved all of that. And he should have been honest with himself. He should have said, you can't be my PA and you can't be my mentee if we're going to go into that. Because, baby, this email, now that I'm reading it, it sounds like he's talking to Corletto. It sounds like Corletto was also participating in this developing affection, romance, whatever it was, because Corletto does admit in the email, I mean, in the lawsuit, that he was struggling too. I mean, he's same gender loving too. He's now a full-on same gender loving man. So what is now given? Oh, hold on, let me read this whole thing first, girl, because see, we're gonna have to have a whole talk now. But we're gonna have to have a whole talk now. Let me read this whole thing. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I am really embarrassed at how I am and how I acted. You're far too important to me to be treated like that from me or anyone. I'm not helping you in any way by doing this, and I'm not making a fool out of myself being so desperate. I have no one, and I feel it more than ever, but I was horribly wrong trying to force you into something that you were consistently saying no to. I am too old to be like this. I won't be that to you again. You didn't come back for this. My loneliness is mine to deal with. My desire for you is not right in the way that I'm feeling and handling it. Correct. I will be a friend to you and pastor if you allow me, but I won't be this broken old man so desperate for you that I violate my purpose in your life and become this. I love you and want you to be who you're supposed to be. I will work on me. I hate being lonely and alone, but I have to go through it. Not like this. Let's move on from here. See you later this or next week. This email actually is now more dynamic and explosive than what I initially thought, because I had not really read the email. I had just kind of whatever. Now that we're here, girl, let me tell you, this is kind of now painting you guys. This is now opening up a whole entire different picture now for me. This email sounds like it's referencing Corletto as well. It sounds like Corletto was participating in whatever these two broken down low men at the time were kind of bonding with each other. They both were curious. They both were suppressing their sexuality. They both would give in at various levels. And what it sounds like is that Donnie was very much so aware that he wanted much more than the first base, second base behavior that they would indulge in from time to time. The cuddling, the kissy pooey-ness, the whatever-ness. And because Donnie was more so the aggressor, because he wanted the full-on penetration, the full-on actual experience, he was, you know, emotionally diving in. You know, he was more pressed than Carletto was, who had more conviction. So Carletto's engagement was more softer as it relates to him exploring his sexuality versus Donnie, who all caught up in the Carletto stuff. And maybe what has happened is Carletto is exaggerating everything else around what was actually a mutual situation. And yes, Donnie was more so aggressive in ways and about things because he also knew that in the context of us dealing the way we're dealing, we're running off secretly kissing, you're coming over to the hotel room, we're exploring things. But that's also real bad because you're my employee and you're my mentee. And I'm doing way too much. I know I'm doing way too much. I know I want you more than you want me. But Carletto was wanting Donnie too. And Carletto was being with Donnie too. And this is all happening under religious conviction. Look, baby, baby, I don't know how I feel. Now, Donnie is admitting to some things, girl. I mean, but this gets so muddy because now that Donnie has seemingly in the same email that Carletto was using as his smoking GUN to Donnie's admission of all the things he's alleging in the suit, it also reveals that there was a mutuality. You know, and all of us have been in situations with people that wanted us more than we wanted them. You know, like all of us, if you've ever been married or ever been in a relationship, whether straight or gay, I mean, or if you've ever even just casually dated and courted somebody and both of you attracted to each other, you know, I mean, a lot of asking for consent doesn't really happen, right? Because if you're courting and you've already opened up that space for sensuality and sexuality to be played upon and acted upon, you know, people just operate according to their desires. They see you, they may choose to touch you. They're not gonna ask you. They may choose to go in for a kiss. They may choose to, you know, grab you up real tight. And, you know, I mean, that happens when all of that enmeshment is taking place. You know, consent goes out of the window. The way that Carletto is painting this versus now what this email seemingly also is expressing is kind of a bit contradiction. And then there are the issues that I'm pointing out around Carletto claiming that he was great multiple times over the course of all these years, but you don't hear about him getting any medical intervention. You don't hear about him getting tested, you know, for any STDs, STIs, or anything. And then there's even after he quits, even after he's out of the ministry, even after he's quit the job, you know, he still allows this man to come to his room. And remember, I found it weird when Carletto said that even after 6 years of being great and molested and violated and all of this and all of that, that he allowed this man to come up to his hotel room, even after he done quit and everything, separated himself and everything, and then fell asleep in his presence. A real victim is not going to do that. Somebody who has been seriously violated and taken advantage of over years and then runs for their life, finally runs for their salvation, runs for their freedom from this extraordinary degree of prolonged abuse, is then not going to, first of all, even be in an intimate quarters with the perpetrator, such as you're in my room where there's no cameras, there's no witnesses, there's no nothing. And then I'm never going to bring myself to feel so safe that I would dare fall asleep in an enclosed space with you. That didn't make sense to me, but now it does make sense to me, considering that this email is alluding to the fact that this was an entanglement going on between two confused ass men, and dynamics of power were at play because Carletto is the mentee and the employee. And now it could be true that this is a money grab and Corletto is exaggerating all the other things around it to sensationalize, of course, because he got to rev up the pain and suffering. He got to rev up the, compensatory. He got to raise up the punitive damages. He got to escalate all of that. So, you got to embellish. You got to take it all the way there. You got to do that because if you're going to go in, you got to go home. You got to go big with it. You got to do all that. All this stuff happened in 2023. So this is over a decade ago, going all the way back to 07, 08. You're cracking the code as usual. And y'all know how I do, baby. When CTV put that brain on, baby. I think I saw Pam in here. Is Pam up in her? Hey, Pam. Yeah, the email made me clutch my pearls. Hey, Pam, the law intellect. Hey, boo. Girl, look. Is you seeing what I'm seeing? Because, see, I thought this was a smoking gun, but what's freaking me out is this line, Pam. Because who is he? Because he can't be talking about himself. He says, I forced myself on you, groping on you. And when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug. He's talking about Corletto. And then Corletto is so goofy that he's using the email as a smoking gun because Donnie just flat out admits and uses direct language like inappropriate, groping, dirty old man, I'm the aggressor. So I can see why he presented it, but he must have not had read this boom, bang, pow part about you never really touched me like that, just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. He's referencing Corletto. Y'all. Larry, is you here? Larry. Is you seeing what I'm seeing? Right. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with the cane. Hold on. We gotta do a poll. Oh my God. I'm supposed to be in and out, but CTV got me cracked. Y'all. Is y'all seeing what I'm seeing? Or am I seeing things? Tell me if I'm seeing things or am I seeing what I'm seeing? Is that man talking or not talking about Corletto, not himself? This line basically reads, I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. You just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I am really embarrassed. Okay? So he's establishing the contrast between the low-level homoeroticism that Corletto wanted to participate in with him and the aggressive, penetrating, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, sex that Donnie wanted to participate in. Okay, so I'm seeing in 4K. Oh, okay, so I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, because baby, it's okay. Pam says, after hearing the lawyer's statement in the article that the facts weren't as they appear, I figured it may be consensual. CTV is undefeated, y'all. Baby, y'all know the king is going to king. Hold on. Baby. Rubbing my hands like Birdman. Hold on, y'all. I'm texting Larry. I need to know if Larry too, because Pam done said, girl, yes, it's giving consensual. This email, Corletto forgot. He didn't read this thing all the way through. Baby, he saw dirty old man and saw grope, baby, and baby rolled that right on over to the attorney, baby. They didn't read this thing all the way through. or either they did, but they just maybe thought that by the time we got to the email, based upon how heavy all the allegations were, preluding the receipt, girl, that we would just read the email from the lens of Carletto's narrative and not actually put that critical eye. Because see, baby, I ain't never blown by sensationalism, girl. Never. I still be reading and interpreting with both sides of my brain. I do not get emotionally hijacked like that. So either they just didn't read this thing through, and maybe they too thought he was referencing himself, or they read this and just didn't think that we were going to clock that T. This is not as black and white as we thought. Wow, y'all. Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness. Wow, y'all. Hey, Pastor. Yes. Wow, y'all. But the email, but here's the thing, right? I don't know how this is going to land in the court of law, though, because at the end of the day, okay, Larry is back. Some of what they done probably was consensual. Okay, so Larry, do you read this the way that I'm reading? Because see, I just clocked this down to the ground. Okay, Carletto presented this like this was about Donnie's admission, but Donnie done put a reverse Uno, seemingly unbeknownst to Carletto, and Donnie done exposed the situation in the email. He said, I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. Do you see what I see, Larry? That Donnie is talking about Carletto. He's comparing himself to Carletto and how they both are approaching this down low, curious, homoerotic thing that they're doing. He's saying, I'm the one who wanted to press the gas and go the full throttle, and I shouldn't be like that because you just want to play softball. You just want a friend. You just want a cuddle buddy. You just want, to have some cuddle sessions. Are you reading what I'm reading? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because Donnie just exposed the play, and then Carletto was goofy enough to not catch the play in the email. Or he's saying that that's all he wanted to do, but he went to. But see, that really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together. Yeah, you could read it that way. Some of what they've done. Let me see. It could. That's an interpretation too. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted this. But see, it wouldn't make no sense. Like, see, that wouldn't make no sense either, because that statement is following him talking about himself compared to Carletto. Because right before he says that, I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that. It seemed like he goes into like he further expounds upon exactly what Carletto wants and is engaging in, just to paint the picture even clearer, because now that I see it, I can't unsee it. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. Just wanted to sleep together and hug occasionally. I mean, he could be clarifying, but see, but see, here's the thing: that he can't be clarifying what he really wanted, because he's actually admitting to what he really wants, which is a dirty old man who wants that wham bam thank you man. I want to be in your pants. I want to be full on. I feel guilty about it. So he can't be claiming that this is what he wants, which is the softball situation, which also doesn't make sense because it's still inappropriate. So it's like he can't possibly think that this is even a appropriate desire with this person being his mentee and his employee. He got to be talking about Corletto. He got to be talking about Corletto because it don't make sense. Because the whole email is about him admitting to what he really wanted. He never wanted to just cuddle. And he's admitting that. I'm groping you. I forced myself on you. I was trying to go to a realm of sexuality that wasn't right. So no, he ain't talking about himself. He ain't talking about himself. He's talking about Corletto. Because yes, he's establishing what his real desires are all up through the email. That's why the email was written. I feel guilty for wanting all of the things, baby. I wanted to devour and swallow you up. And all you wanted was a friend. All you wanted was a spiritual mentor. All you wanted was a cuddle buddy. All you wanted was, some lighthearted, playful stuff. And I'm out here trying to really, really get in it with you. And I feel guilty because I should know better. I'm older than you. I've been in the world longer than you. I am your mentor. I am your boss. This is just wrong. They definitely had a conversation, Todd, before this because he wraps it up with, see you later. He wraps it up with, let's move on from here. See you later this or next week. So, yes, they're working something out. They are at odds. And it seems like, based upon his email, really what they're at odds about is they want two different things. Like Donnie, at this point, I don't even want to be gay. So no, I don't want this in the way you want it. I'm cool with us, messing around and doing some first, second base stuff, but I don't want to be gay. I don't see that for my life. I don't think that's what God wants for me. Blah, 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 blah. And Donnie, to Corletto's point though, right, is laying out all the stops. He's begging him. He's showing up at his hotel. He's contacting his friends. And here's the other thing too. Are we to believe that Corletto didn't tell his friends? Because if he was in a very abusive situation with Donnie, why would the friends be supporting Donnie and trying to get Corletto's attention? Because Corletto says in the lawsuit that Donnie pulled up outside the terminal gate with two of his close friends, laying down the persuasion. Are we to believe that Corletto wasn't confiding in his friends and that they didn't know what was up? And if he had been through this whole harrowing ordeal with Donnie, why in the hell would they be supporting Donnie? That don't make no sense. Once again, why he never got no medical intervention, why he never got tested. He's been anally sodomized over years worth of time. Why did this man, Corletto admitted in the lawsuit, he fell asleep with Donnie in his hotel room? That's not going to happen if you're running away from an abuser. And at this point, he had to run away from the abuser, ran away from the church, got out of the work situation, and then allowed the abuser up to your room because he begged you, and then you fell asleep and woke up to him performing oral or performing fellatio on you. No, it's stuff, and look, it's okay for us to be just as critical of everything being laid out before us, because the court's gonna do the same thing. The court's gonna do the same thing, baby. Both of them gonna have to make it make sense. So they brought this situation to us, baby. We ain't come to their situation. Stuff not adding up. This email revealed something else. No wonder Donnie felt comfortable emailing Corletto, because ultimately what he's really apologizing for is not raping him. What he's apologizing for is not per se doing anything insidious. He's really apologizing for being just extra as fuck in they little entanglement. Like, yeah, I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. I want you and I want you bad. I'm doing too much. No wonder Donnie emailed him, because he wasn't incriminating himself. He wasn't talking about his behavior from the context of insidiousness. He's talking about desire. He's talking about feeling bad about how much he wants somebody that he know is struggling. Somebody that he know also, because of their dynamics, he shouldn't be dealing with in this capacity. But because they both done opened up this thing between them, all of his juices, all of his whatever is running now. His baby, the faucet is blown off. The volcano the top done blown off the volcano lid. Because remember from the beginning, when we were talking about this yesterday, I kept saying, damn, bitch, like, I got to give Donnie credit, because who the fuck would, like, really, I mean, sorry for the cursing, who would self-admit to something insidious like this? You know, I got to give him credit for having a conscience at the very least. But maybe now that we put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 6 together, girl, this man ain't admitting to no damn great. He's just admitting to being extra. He's writing a I'm doing too much letter the same way that women have experienced the man in their life who doing too much. He too clingy, kind of controlling, calling your phone, standing outside your house, all in the front yard, doing the most. This is essentially Donnie in the situation. I don't even know if I need to read the rest of this, because, baby, it's I can feel it. I can feel the truth now. I can feel the truth of it. CTV always untangling the mess. Pam says, I just couldn't believe he would admit to it. Right, because I'm just like, who would, right? Like, who in their right mind would? The stakes are way too high. Who would? You know, this thing, he could have got locked up behind this. He could have got criminal charges pressed upon him, you know, for admitting something like this, yet alone civilly. You know, like, clearly Donnie was admitting to behavior that sometimes just happens in messy situations where there's emotion, where there's romantic sexual entanglement, and he just did too much and went too far when they shouldn't even be dealing in this way anyway, because of the employee mentee mentor situation. And then Donnie is all pressed over this man, and this man is still having him even after years of abuse, still allowing this man up to your room, falling asleep with this man in your room. I mean, and then you in a hotel room, so you had to have fallen asleep with him in the bed with you. Y'all were cuddling then. Y'all were laid up then. No, at this point, you real team heterosexual, so you ain't wanting no sex. But to the email's point, you want the affection. You comfortable with the affection. You ain't comfortable with having sex yet. You ain't comfortable with, you know, all of that, because that's way too deep. Now, like, that's way too deep off into the gay stuff. Okay, but you're comfortable enough with the homoeroticism of it all. Y'all were cuddled up and booed up then in the bed. And that, because you got to really make it make sense. What person who runs from their perpetrator after 6 years of rape and molestation and control lets the perpetrator up to their hotel room and is alone with them, and then feels safe and calm enough in their spirit to fall asleep? That don't make no sense. And Carletto is not going to be able to get me to believe that. That makes no sense. Now, a bunch of things can be true. While they were both dealing with each other, and one wanted more than the other, and one wanted more things from the other than the other did in return, to Donnie's admission, he was doing too much. He was entitling himself to Carletto. He was touching him. He was being more aggressive with it. You know, he was pursuing him down to the ground. He was all caught up. And how that's going to land. So this is going to be interesting because now Donnie is forced to have to really come out of the closet because he got to deal with that email. He got to deal with this email, which pretty much outs him. He can't run from that. So now he's going to have to get into the nooks and crevices of the situation. And this is exactly how Donnie is going to argue it. In that email, I was not admitting to doing anything insidious. I was admitting to being extra and being caught up with somebody I was mutually involved in. And yes, I felt guilty about the relationship because he was my employee. He was somebody that I assigned to as my mentee. But in no way, shape, or form was I graping this man. In no way, shape, or form was I doing anything of that sort. Yes, I was the aggressor in this situation. I was very attracted to him. I have very strong feelings for him. I wanted more out of the situation than he did. But this man was not afraid of me, and it's even chronicled in his own lawsuit. This man was not interpreting any of my behavior as something for him to be afraid of. It was just that he didn't want what I wanted to the degree in which I was wanting it. But we both wanted each other. We both were down low. We both were sharing affections and booing up and hugging up and laying up. But this man did not see me as a villain or a predator, and never was he great. And now he has coangled all of this peripheral stuff around it to make it look like something that it wasn't. And we're here. I don't know how all that's going to land, though. Because in that email, at the end of the day, regardless of whether the context of him being extra and groping him was in the context of being relational, he still admitted to being a dirty old man. He ultimately still admitted to, you know, what can be argued to be predatory behavior. He still ultimately admitted to, and all of that, baby, I mean, the lawyer can have a field day. Carletto's lawyer can have a field day with this. Even if the truth is, this was just according to situation, and one person just had it bad, baby. One person just had it real bad. They just had it real bad, raw. It was kind of, baby. So it's still bad. But this creates a different outlook, though, on what's going on. Wow. And we're going to have to move on from this. I was not expecting to be here this long on this. Wow. Yeah, so, you know, basically the rest is logistics, and they're going for, let's see here, violation of Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act, cause of action. They're going for a second cause of action of sexual assault, of course. They're going for a third cause of action, sexual battery, of course. And then a jury demand, a jury by trial. They are awarding compensatory damages in an amount to be proved at trial. So they have not came up with an exact number right now that will play out later on. But in any event, any amount that exceeds the jurisdictional limits of all lower courts, which would otherwise have jurisdiction to the extent permitted by law, awarding punitive damages to the extent permitted by law, awarding costs and fees of this action, including attorney fees to the extent permitted by law, awarding prejudgment interest to the extent permitted by law, and awarding such other and further relief as the court may deem proper, you guys. Wow. Wow, wow, girl. We're going to see how this works out, y'all. We're going to see, baby. We're going to feel with this, baby, because this is a mess, y'all. All right? Okay, we got to move on from that, girl. Wow. Shout out to the, baby, shout out to the critical mind, baby, because we be putting that thing together, okay? We be putting that together. We got to get into Jamal Bryant. So you guys know Jamal Bryant and his dress have been having the streets on fire, girl. Everybody done went ham, child. There is a divide, you know, of those who don't think there was anything wrong with the first lady's new meshed lingerie inspired gala gown. Then there are those who are like, girl, she's doing way too much. She's the first lady. This is not a representation of a Christian woman. I don't give a damn. If your husband chose it, I don't give a damn. If you are a wife, you are first and foremost a wife to God before you are a wife to man. Okay? And they ain't here for it. And Jamal Bryant has not been here for his wife getting flamed up for her dress. So he took credit for the dress. And also slammed the online critics by calling all of y'all big back and fat and having no necks and, you know, having a rheumatoid arthritis and all type of things going on that you could never come for the king and the queen. Well, that only aroused Mo Dragon because his own cousin, Pastor Geno Jennings, along with Earl Carter and Pastor Patrick Wooten, took immediately to God's pulpit, baby, and got to roasting and gagging, okay? Pastor Wooten went as far as to saying that Jamal had his wife out there looking like a $2 his hoe. Okay, my God, baby, it got real messy, baby, real dark in the pulpit. Well, of course, the attention-seeking, clout-chasing Christian couple have taken advantage of the limelight and pressed the gas even further by sitting down with no other than Miss Tamron Hall herself. So we're going to play this segment where they spoke directly to, you know, the dress and the criticism thereof. And then we're going to have a conversation about it. Check this out. This is audio only.
Sliver of doubt before you walked out to go to the event about the dress and that it might create a stir.
People have said, oh, you know, she knew it would get this reaction. My ego is not that big. I don't dress for people. I dress for myself and for my husband. I am a wife. Yeah. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter. I have a doctorate. I'm a professor. There are plenty of things that I do. And the challenge is we often want to see a woman be one-dimensional. I am multi-dimensional. I carry multiple titles. Now, what you choose to call me on whatever day is fine for whatever that might be. But I think that there is this idea that a woman can only be one thing. And once I happen to marry a pastor, I happen to fall in love with a man who is a pastor, right? And so with that came the title of First Lady, but there is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. And I have decided that the title does not define me. I define what the title is.
Okay, I want y'all to hear that last part one more time because this is where Jezebel gets real interesting. In the words of Earl Carter.
Came the title of First Lady, but there is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. And I have decided that the title does not define me. I define what the title is. She
proved every single thing I literally said yesterday. If this was not literally her leaning in my entire dissertation yesterday, she literally became the full-on receipt and validated everything I literally said, y'all, yesterday. Did or did I not say that these New Age Christians do not want to center Christ first? They want Christ to center them, not the other way around. They are not in this to center Christ. They're in this to have the theme of God, the concept of God, the likeness of God, the brand of God to use as leverage to center themselves, resulting in God simply being the backdrop and the background dancer and the background singer to their personal and individual stardom. God is being used by a lot of these modern commercial Christians as leverage. They're using the name of God. They're using the academia of God. They're using the energies of God to escalate their social status, their economic status. This has nothing to do with God. And then she says the most preposterous, outlandish, flat out, gots to come from the pits of hell thing she could say. She literally, as a Bible-toting, Bible-preaching, first lady yielding individual, said that there is no book and manual. Wouldn't the manual be the Bible, the basic instructions before leaving earth? What are you talking about, Jezebel? What the hell are you talking about? The audacity that the book so thick and filled with so much demonstration that it exists in two parts, baby, an old and a new part, and you around here talking about they ain't no book, they ain't no manual. What in the hell is your husband teaching out of every Sunday? It ain't no damn book. Baby, don't y'all hear that lie? The lie just go flat out lie on national TV talking about it ain't no damn instructions. I ain't said it. Y'all heard it for you. Baby, let's rewind it back. I need an encore.
That came the title of First Lady, but there is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. There's no manual for what that looks like. There is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. There is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like. There is no book for that. There is no manual for what that looks like.
And Tamron was sitting there with her damn bob deactivated, looking at her like this Jezebel is a big dummy, but I'm getting ratings, so I'm gonna let her ass talk herself into another dragon. And then her Bible-toting, Bible-reading husband just gonna sit there with all them damn unanswered for ass children and not interrupt, not correct, not look at her like, lady, what the hell is you talking about? You're married to a damn pastor. What the hell you think where the hell you think our manipulation coming out of, baby? It's the book. It's the Bible. They ain't no book. They ain't no manual to show me how this done. Bad. I'm through. My point was proven. Baby, I called it. Baby, I'm through. Put a period on that thing, baby. Cooked. Broccoli been done. Baby, that's goo at this point, girl. Done. Clocked it. Clanked it. On to the next, girl. CTV caught it down to the ground, girl. These people are insincere, cosplaying. These are capitalists and elitists cosplaying as Christians. And like so many grifters, they know, baby, oh, this is the go-to get rich scheme, baby. Start doing that God stuff. Start going into that God stuff, baby. Start activating people emotionally, baby, and intellectually, baby. Oh, baby, you got a grift for a lifetime. And then these people who be following these people up, they really be thinking, it be the spirit, baby. Your pastor ain't nothing but a doggone life coach. Okay? You sitting there talking about, don't come home talking about the word of the Lord, baby. It wasn't no word. There wasn't no word of the Lord, baby. That was emotion, baby. That was emotional performance. You think because you in there feeling stuff, baby. Oh, God, baby, it's called emotions. And that's what a lot of these grifters are hijacking, baby, is your emotions. This man don't even claim his kids. This man is a male Jezebel himself. Married to a Jezebel. Really out here in secret meetings with the world elite and capitalists, baby, preaching a humble man sermon to the rest of y'all for the grift. And she out here smiling with her middle part bust down. Like Jamal Bryant, something to be proud of. Like I said, baby, I have no respect for her. How, as a woman with the capacity to provide, create, conjure, and to create a person practically out of nothing. And then you marry and affirm a man who is unwilling to affirm and take proper responsibility and care for all of the children that he had other women use their superpowers to bring into this world. And you walking around here, I could tell you ain't read no damn manual. I could tell you ain't read a damn book. And got a nerve to be called Doctor. Doctor who? Seuss? I'm sick of it. Yep, like I said, dear, equally yoked, baby. They belong together. Who else is she gonna lean on when times get rough? Who's she gonna talk to the phone till the sun comes up? Who's gonna take his place? There ain't nobody better. Oh, baby, baby, they belong together. She can't sleep at night when she all on her mind. Grabbing my Max on the radio, saying to me, if you think you're lonely now, wait a minute, this is too deep. I gotta change the station, so I just turn it down, trying to catch a break. And then I hear that baby face. I only think of Jamal, and it's breaking my heart. I'm trying to keep it together, but I'm falling apart. I'm feeling all of my element. I'm throwing things apart. I'm trying to figure out where the hell I went wrong. The pain reflected in this soaking even half of what I'm feeling inside. I need you back in my life, baby. Oh yes, baby. They belong together. Equally yoked down to the ground, baby. She probably put Jamal in that damn dress when they got home. Miss ain't no Bible. Miss ain't no manual. Miss, I don't know what to do. Baby, done, baby. Don't y'all ever play on CTV name, baby. I'm about to change this channel name to Clock It TV. That's about to be the new channel name for 2026, baby. It's Clock It TV, baby. We evolving from Consciouztv. Because the level of clockage, baby, the level of clockage, girl, at this point, I am legendary out here in these streets, baby. I put these people's whole card from, baby, this was an easy read. This was an easy read. Easy. Let me get up out of here, child. What's going on, Fuzzy? Hey, boo. Let me get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary, baby. Shout out to everybody. Baby, I got to go shower, do something with my life. I got a special guest I'm supposed to be bringing on in a few, child. So I see y'all in the few, girl. If y'all love everything the King does here, go ahead and donate to the platform, bye. Okay, tell a friend of 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 a friend, baby, to come and join the kingdom, baby. We do it all, baby. Okay, we get into the churchy, we get into the worldly, we get into the secular, we get into the God, we get into the intellect, we get into it all, baby. This is an all-purpose platform, okay? You can always donate to the platform if you enjoyed yourself, if you got a laugh, if you got entertained, if you enjoyed yourself. Cash App $Consciouztv and or PayPal.me/Consciouztv, spelled just like it is here on the platform. All donation and social media handles are in the description box below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys later. Peace.